Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to tell you all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Don't miss out on our comic book creator interviews, including our monthly Chichester chats with comic book legend DG Chichester, superhero movie brackets in our search for the worst comic book movie of all time, and many, many more specials, all completely uncensored. Access starts for $3 a month, full video when you pledge $5 a month. Check out the link in our show notes or go to patreon.com/capesandlunatics. Hope to see you there.
This is Luca Perich, and you're listening to the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
Hello, kids. Merry Christmas. Welcome to the Capes and Lunatics Christmas episode. And yippee-ki-yay, movie lovers. It's a Die Hard review.
Yay!
I am Phil. Joining me, as always, that movie lover from New Jersey. It is
Charlie, the Professor Essa.
And coming to you live from Florida, who has a bigger kill count than Die Hard 1 and 2. It is
Blue Hellfire. Just Florida things.
And we got special guests. Of course, we talk movies all the time, all the way from Italy. DJ Nik.
Hey guys, great to be here. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. Looking forward to this one.
And a guy who's been in a Christmas movie and loves to talk is Robert Softon.
Yes, Professor Doom is in the house.
Yo.
I'll allow it. Mark my words.
All right,
So now that you're off the network, doing your own thing, you're still using my drops, huh?
No.
We'll send you a shekel for Christmas. It's fine.
Oh, it's just like I get paid for the movie. Excellent.
Exactly.
Why did your eye drift over to my box? I'm like that Seinfeld episode where I get all the checks that are like a penny at the end of the year. Like, ooh, look, I made $1.
The super terrific happy hour. All right.
I think Jingle All the Way is on the way to being the Christmas story, honestly. USA might try to do the 24-hour marathon of Jingle All the Way.
There's about 30 seconds that are worth it.
Well, it is about consumerism, and that is the true spirit of the holiday season. Blessed Consumers Day, when we empty our wallets to ensure a prosperous economic fourth quarter.
Kids, don't get up on his knee.
Oh, my.
This movie made me paranoid about Christmas office parties when I was a kid. I'm just saying, this is the dreaded. I don't ever want to go to an office party at Christmas.
Why, man? They're doing coke. They're having sex right in the office.
Everyone loves cocaine. Can I just say the coked up guy was like the most, and I'm not going to say he was smart, but he was like the most heroic character where he does not put McClane in danger when he does the big, hey, I know this guy, that's John McClane.
So Argyle's not a heroic character over this guy.
No, Argyle is not a heroic character. Argyle does nothing. Argyle rams into a car at the end and punches the tech guy. That is
and he plays some pretty sweet Christmas music at the beginning, setting the tone.
He's a nice guy. I love Argyle. Don't get me wrong. I'm here for Argyle.
It's Reginald Bell Johnson's movie.
Oh, yeah.
Family Matters is a spinoff of Die Hard. Fight me.
It is.
I'm going to say this.
Did you say that?
Oh. Well, many people have said it.
It's actually Perfect Strangers, but it's my headcanon, and you can't take it from me.
Well, people
That's
have
an interesting
artistic choice. Obviously the names don't match.
Isn't a thing a spin-off from this?
Witness protection. They were terrorists.
Oh.
Who are all dead, though.
Headcanons, man.
No, I love headcanons. You know that.
Yeah. But one thing I gotta say for this is a film where, as really cool as John McClane, Bruce Willis is, this film is made by its supporting cast. The supporting cast...
As all Action 80 movies are. Unless it's an Eddie Murphy action movie.
Fair enough, But I wonder if sometimes maybe that is where the formula broke down with Die Hard in later iterations, where they tried to make him much more into John McClane, into much more of a Superman. Where in this one, he is really not necessarily good at his job, he's very competent, but he's not good at his job.
Yeah, he's kind of a loser.
It's a very thin line.
Yeah, the Frank Castle formula.
Yeah, right.
Well,
right.
yeah, he makes a lot of early choices that, aren't bad. Like, leaving his shoes behind when he grabs his gun. Just that little thing. Like, it's one of these things where this is an entirely different movie if he doesn't meet the guy on the plane who says, take off your shoes and socks.
They're saying it gets worse and worse, though, because by the end, we're dropping C4 down the elevator shaft.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, way too much C4. And here's what I'm going to tell you. You know that this is, this is a movie that predates both the first and second World Trade Center attacks. Because obviously you couldn't just randomly drive in a container truck into a building after the first Trade Center attack or after... Well, actually, I guess you could because they did it in Oklahoma. But, Oklahoma, man. They should have had tighter regulations. But then, just
Red
the fact
state.
that now we know that, you take out an entire floor of a building... that building is actually going to fall down. That's like you drop that C4 and it blows out that entire floor as it does. The rest of the building above that is going to come down. It doesn't because, no one thought of that at the time. Everyone thought...
I saw a YouTube video where they described that is not true, that what you saw in Die Hard is accurate because it was in a movie. So anytime you watch a YouTube video, it's telling you the truth.
Yeah.
Can I just say, I have to be the nerd here and say, well, honestly, actually, I think this is better than the book. I don't know if a lot of people really know that this is actually based on a book, Nothing Lasts Forever, by Roderick Thorpe. But this is actually better than the book. I think that the screen adaptation is actually better than the book. And I like the book.
Actually, the book was going to be made into a movie before this, and it was going to be Frank Sinatra playing the John McClane part.
And I can totally see that. Different timeline, man. I can totally see it. Right at the height of that Rat Pack, Sammy Davis is in there somewhere.
Oh, it'd be sweet. And, we got that close then to this being Joe Piscopo instead of John McClane, whatever his name is, Bruce Willis.
Yeah, well, you're always one Piscopo away from any... Joe Piscopo could
that's a
pretty
frightening
much
thought.
Never go
fill any classic movie role if it had... It's like... There is no classic movie role that you could not imagine Joe Piscopo being in, not as well.
Okay, Charlie, you know that Nick does an Oscars podcast, right?
Exactly.
So you're saying every role by Oscar winner.
Well, okay, any male role. Any male role.
Oh, any male role. Okay.
Okay,
then
fair
we'll give
enough,
it to you.
Fair enough. You're gonna.
This isn't kabuki theater anymore.
I haven't seen Joe Piscopo do female characters yet, so I don't know. He might be able to pull it off. Joe Piscopo is
Jersey's
just
son,
good
Joe
enough.
Piscopo.
I like how you sing.
Yeah.
Just good enough to have a career. Yes.
Yes.
At one point.
Yeah,
well,
Yeah, can we talk to the movie expert, Nick? What were your thoughts on this?
Well, okay. I definitely have thoughts on this one. This was actually the first time I sat down to watch it all the way through because I am not an action movie buff by any stretch of the imagination. And my takes on this were, it was a nice homage to The Towering Inferno. I did appreciate that. But what I will say is, what do we actually learn from this film? Violence solves everything? Okay.
You have to remember, it's an American movie, Nick.
1989.
Yeah, no. But here's the thing. As you know what? As you sit back and watch it as pure entertainment, you are entertained. You look at this movie a little bit closer. Let's say the moral lessons you take from this are not exactly the best. I mean, you have a marriage in trouble. How do you solve it? Violence. You have a man who has PTSD for having killed somebody. How does he get over that? Violence. A guy becomes a hero through how? Violence. I mean, I was like, what kind of lessons are you trying to... What are your takeaways from this film? You watch it purely as a popcorn flick. It's incredibly entertaining. Actorially, I definitely think that you have three characters that are developed the most compared to the rest of the
Hans
cast.
Gruber, possibly?
And they're all the bad guys?
They're all Hans Gruber?
No, I'm going to say Alan Rickman is definitely the most developed and the best performance in this, alongside Reginald Vell Johnson. Those are probably the two best portrayals in this film.
Argyle.
I did like Bruce Willis in this because he maybe is not a stereotypical action hero, if you will, compared to the Stallones and the Schwarzeneggers that you would get, because there is some tragedy to this guy. But I was just trying to think to myself, if you really sort of pick it apart, they're not you don't have really some great lessons to take from this, other than violence solves everything.
May I agree to disagree? Because first off, it is not violence solves everything. It's that actually violence is a bad idea if you don't know how to utilize what you're doing. Repeatedly throughout this film, the bruisers of the film, the LAPD, and I forget the guy who's the deputy chief, goes in strong and gets his butt handed to him. The same with the FBI. Everyone is trying to use violence to solve everything. And the actual moral of this is that, yes, sometimes violence is necessary, but you have to know what you're doing. You have to be smart about it. And you have to adapt to a changing situation as you learn more things. And this is one of the things that I say, like, this is a different film if, at the start, John McClane runs down the stairs and meets up with Argyle, who he knows has a cell phone in his car, rather than running up the stairs to try and find an outside line when he already knows the lines have been cut. So, like, that little change, had he run down the stairs, got to Argyle, got on the phone, said, yeah, listen, there are these terrorists, they just took over this place, send backup. Now, of course, you're still going to have that you're going to still have that LAPD backup showing up. And you may have similar problems because they'd already taken out the security guard. Although, immediately you're going to know that security guard is on the take after bodies start flying out the windows. But the actual moral to me of this story is that, this is a violent world at times, because it is an action movie world. But that just violence itself is not the answer. You have to have relationships and help to make it work. If you don't have Reginald Vell Johnson out there to help you, your violence isn't going to solve the problem. And you're often going to be caught flat-footed because you assumed things you didn't know yet.
I do agree, but and speaking actually of the Reginald Vell Johnson character, did we actually need John McClane basically giving his whole sob story to Reginald when he could have actually talked to his wife about that, and that would have actually helped them reconcile a little bit more? I get that they connected. I love the connection between the two, that they'd actually never seen each other throughout the film. They see each other at the end.
Yeah.
But I found the whole part of, my marriage kind of went south. That whole thing. You could have spared that and actually told your wife that when you actually got to see her. Because I think they end up the fact they end up together, literally, if you will, their marriage seems like wrapped up in a nice little bow. It seemed a little bit facile.
Well, and as I understand in the sequels, it doesn't work out that way. But
I only have this movie to go on.
Yeah, no, so do I.
Yes, it was nominated for 4 Academy Awards. Come on, Nick.
But for what? I mean, not for acting.
Exactly.
Not for directing. Even though this is one of John McTierney's better films, and he's
definitely love to see a male director with a foot fetish. Love to see it.
Yeah, exactly. Hello, Quentin Tarantino. Exactly.
But a male foot fetish.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of feet in this film.
This is actually McTierney's one of his better films. But as I said there, and I think directorially it's actually well done. It's well written. And I also like that the film realizes it's not taking itself seriously, because there are also some breaking the fourth wall moments. So it's like, this is all fun and games. And I appreciate that, because there are action movies that take themselves way too seriously when it's total, fluff, if you will, with violence. But I don't know, I think when you had certain moments where you could have developed certain characters, there were missed opportunities. Case in point, I felt also Holly's character could have been developed a lot more. She could have been a lot more interesting.
But she had boobs, Nick, and it was the 80s. Yes. I don't think so.
I know. It will still infuriate me, nonetheless.
I would like to agree to disagree. Well, Holly's character, yes, gets the standard short shrift of an 80s female protagonist. I do think she gets adequate story, even as presented as secondary through John McClane's story. So from the very beginning, we get the Argyle. So it's sort of like one of these, and this is like this anti-Bechdel moment, where two men are talking about this female relationship. And it is literally just this idea that, John McClane didn't come out to LA expressly because he thought, well, she's going to go out there. It's not going to work out. She's going to come back. And this is the framing device that we have for this whole thing. When John McClane is giving his story to Reginald, and I can't remember that character's name. I just know it's Reginald Van Johnson. I always want to call him...
Powell?
I'm sorry?
Al Powell.
Al Powell, thank you. As he's giving the story to Al Powell, he doesn't know if he's ever going to see Holly again at that point. He's basically realizing that we are at the bottom of this. People are going to die. I am probably going to die because I have no shoes. I am just a New York City cop. I'm going up against a bunch of crazed terrorists who can't really good at their
lives,
job.
mind you.
Stormtrooper aim,
Exactly. I'm like,
okay,
come on,
first off,
man.
I don't know. First off, look, I'm not going to say I'm an expert marksman.
No.
Yeah, but I mean, you're firing bullets at one guy. One is going to hit him. At least one.
Well, okay, and to be fair, so here's where you get this convolution of Hollywood weaponry and real weaponry, because obviously there are way more bullets in those clips than would be in any standard weapon.
Well, like too, when who was it? The cops were trying to break in. Didn't Hans tell them to shoot the wound too? So maybe could they have had orders to shoot the wound too at a certain point?
Well, I mean, who knows? Who knows? I mean, but actually, when they're so first off, Carl makes it explicit he does not want anyone killing McClane but him. So right from there, and Carl is this big scary guy because he is, as we learn at the end, the ultimate boss battle that Al Powell has to defeat. And that's
and
the
did
point.
We actually need that? Did we need that?
Yes, we needed that because we needed him to realize violence is not the answer, but sometimes violence is necessary.
Sometimes it feels good, man.
No, it's because in this moment,
it doesn't feel right.
John McClane isn't Superman. He's not going to survive this. This guy is coming out. He's the only guy who sees the situation, knows what's happening, and has a weapon that he can draw. So he has to make that decision. The first time he drew on a kid where he didn't know the situation because he was a rookie. Now he's an experienced officer, and he can say, you know what? I don't have to be afraid because I do know what I'm doing. And again, this is fantasy. So, we're assuming experienced officers know what they're doing and know when and when not to draw. But
have you seen the news in the last 2 years? I'm just asking.
No, I understand. This is fantasy.
Asking for a friend. Okay.
This is fantasy. There is fantasy aspects to this. It is.
No.
It is a Hollywood blockbuster film. But I think to say that, that's unnecessary. No, I think it's sort of like...
I'm just thinking the psychological implications of that, because this man was traumatized for shooting a kid. Now he's shot somebody. The repercussions are going to be severe.
So let me give you...
Nick, that's why the rest of the series, from Die Hard 1, from 2 on, are all fictitious. They are all a dream of John McClane. As he sits he lays in an asylum wrestling with this crippling PTSD. And, Charlie, and also back to your point, you said how things could have changed if he had just, gone downstairs or whatever. I will actually say that if he had just gone to therapy and they had gotten couples therapy as well, all of this would be completely different.
Well,
Alan Rickman would be Lord Commander.
Right. Well, and this also then becomes Must Love Dogs.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like if John McClane were a different person, this would be a very different film.
Yes.
Every movie, if they were different people, they'd be different movies. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I get
that's the thing.
I get this is not Taxi Driver. I get this is not The Deer Hunter, but still, a decade prior, you actually had these issues being addressed in films with violence, etc. Heck, even Rambo addressed that whole concept of PTSD. That's why I think Rambo First Blood is a better movie than this.
Oh, it definitely is.
Oh, well, certainly. I mean, I don't think anyone's arguing that.
Nick, you're talking film versus movie.
Yeah.
This is a great movie, but it's not a film.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying is taken purely as a Friday night, you're with your mates, there's alcohol going around, there's pizzas going around, there's anything going on. It's a hell of a fun movie.
Yeah.
And to be fair, that's how all Bruce Willis movies are best enjoyed. To be fair,
I'm probably my issue or problem, should we say, and I realize this, doing self-criticizing myself is having to look at so many movies with a very, very close lens. You end up seeing these things, and maybe I am unable to just sit back and say, okay, this is a popcorn flick. I'm just going to enjoy it for what it is.
But at the same time, all entertainment should have more than just face value. At least that's what they tell us.
Yeah. But
I get where you're coming from.
If this wants to run with the big boys, it got nominated for some Oscars here. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm putting it into that context of you're running up in the Academy Awards.
Right, but that was also
it's preserved in the Library of Congress as well in 2017. So
that's what I'm saying.
Somebody thinks it's worth taking a look at.
It is from the time.
Every published work is preserved in the Library of Congress. Every American published work is preserved in the Library of Congress. That is not a special thing. There are many pornos that have Library of Congress designations.
True.
This is true. I mean, no, this is the thing. It's like what you say.
Isn't that called Die Harder?
Yes.
Okay, but the pirate movie.
Very well done. Yeah.
Well, those are good. Again, that's like there is being preserved and then there's being acknowledged. And what I will say, like the Smithsonian acknowledges what is quality, and I can see this being acknowledged as having a very important place in cinematic, in American cinema, in the same way that Jaws does. In the same way that a lot of...
No,
they let a bald guy be an action hero. Woohoo!
Jaws
He's not bald in this time.
Balding! Whatever.
I like everything. He has as much hair as Patrick Stewart did in Pride.
That's not really a standard to go by.
Hey, Patrick Stewart had a great hairpiece. So did Bruce Willis. So that's the thing. It's like 6-1. But I guess what I would say is I think that there's two ways you can look at films.
Oh boy.
You can this is just a personal opinion, and everyone's mileage varies. You can look at film as I'm looking for what's going wrong, and you can look at film as I'm looking for what's going right. And to me, I mean, it is a film that is based on. So here's what I'll say: the fact that John McClane is not Superman, the fact that John McClane is making mistakes throughout it, and realizing that he's got to try and figure out a way to solve these problems that aren't going well. That he is constantly being beaten down. That he's getting himself bloodied and cut up. That he's not quite sure when he meets Hans. He doesn't know for sure. And he realizes that something's going on with Hans here, which then ties back as why was Hans going to the roof? And all of that stuff that comes out of it. There's a lot of little subtle breadcrumbs throughout it that show that someone was thinking when they wrote this script. The actors were, quite frankly, I think, really good actors in the roles that they were in. Honestly, to me, Alan Rickman is great in everything. So the fact that he's great here isn't as impressive as a guy like Argyle. That actor, it's Devonye White, I believe his name is, who did a couple of seasons of Head of the Class. He's been out there, but he's not a known quantity. And I think that his character feeds into certain things, and he has his moments of exposition. And no, they're not amazing moments, but they are all moments that add to the story and give this context and layering to what's happening that I think really speaks to what we're dealing with. Speaks to the story that's being told.
Alan Rickman was too good for this movie. That's all.
He's been too good in every single movie he's ever been in. Harry Potter included. Don't at me, Potterheads. I mean, honestly, here's the thing. Most actors are too good for the movies that they're in. Actually, the most egregious is Dogma. There, I said it. There, take a drink. I pooped on Kevin Smith. Take a drink.
Lilith, I'm with you.
See, I like Dogma, but that's okay.
It's okay. Yeah,
I liked it when I was in middle school.
But
I was raised
right
Catholic,
by saying
so it's very.
It's okay.
It speaks to me. I'm going to wear a gimp mask and murder people. That's a completely out of context drop. So.
Sure it is, Charlie. Satire and parody.
But no,
No, I agree with you, Charlie. I think it is a very well written film, and the pacing is actually very good. But like I said, you know, those are the sort of the main issues that I kind of found with it. I mean, Alan Rickman is fabulous. I think he literally is the MVP of this film. Yeah. He literally is. He carries this movie.
Yeah, if he's not in that role, if somebody else is playing that role, it might not have had the impact. That is very
Joe
true.
Piscopo could not have pulled off that.
And frankly, it is. I mean, we're joking, but Joe Piscopo could have played John McClane. And if you had somebody as tight as Alan Rickman up there doing it, you still probably would like the movie, even though the lead sucks. There, I said it. Sorry, Jersey Sun kind of sucks.
It's amazing that this movie was made because, like, they didn't storyboard. They played everything by ear. The filming locations were like, don't no explosion damage. Like, it just, this is amazing. This movie was made.
That's what makes it great, man. It's like jazz. It's like
very much so.
Let's just see what happens.
But you know what, Charlie? You're right. It does have that feel. If you know that about the film and then you watch it, you can actually see the seams and go, yeah, this is they're just playing fast and loose here, which is okay with me. See, Nick,
I think action films allow for it.
Yeah, and to your point here, Nick, actually to counter your point, so I've seen everything, right? I watch all the films, and I can get all cinestab about stuff. I used to not really be into action movies. I'm still not really into action movies, but I have learned how to appreciate things at their level. What I mean by this, let's talk horror for a second. Misery. You have to admit it's a great film, right?
No doubt.
Okay. I love Reanimator just as much. Is that a great film?
Not personally. It's not one of my favorite horror movies. No.
There you go. It's a great movie. It's a lot of fun. Not everybody's going to love it, but it's a great movie. It's a lot of fun. Misery is a great film. So this may not be a great film, if you want to use the quotes around film, but for an action movie, for a popcorn movie, sit here and watch it.
It's 88.
In 88, it beats the hell out of the Transformer movies, which are just popcorn movies.
Exactly. I think if we have Michael Bay, it's because of John McTierney. No doubt about it. That's also probably why I can't.
No, he's much better than Bay.
Oh,
other than The Rock.
That was probably another reason why maybe this movie got on my nerves so much, is I can't stand Michael Bay's films because the excessive explosions get on my nerves so much.
Just watch The Rock and pretend everything else didn't happen.
It's a Rammstein concert on steroids, is what my God. There's more kerosene than a Rammstein concert. But that said, I agree with you. I totally agree. If you put it within its own little category of action films, it is definitely one of the best out there ever made.
And just a blast.
Totally. But exactly, no pun intended, right? But yeah, as I said, that's my sort of issues are mainly on, as I said, the other points. But yeah, if you look at it within its own category, totally, it's like you look at like you said, some of the horror movies. I mean, to me, The Exorcist is one of the best horror films ever made, and still is one of the best horror films ever made. But in that same category, you could also put Halloween, which is also, if you put it within its own category, it is probably one of the best horror films ever.
Absolutely.
But I think, if you categorize it totally, if you look at it within the big league of film, it has its problems. That's where it starts happening.
Sure, but when you go into that big league, a lot of stuff drops off really fast.
Yeah, I mean, Citizen Kane is awful. If you actually really...
How dare you? I love Citizen Kane.
I'm with Rob on that.
Listen, Charlie. Citizen Kane.
This is a hipster response.
Have you ever seen it on a screen? That's what did it for me. I saw it on a screen. And I've seen it more than once in a theater.
How old are you, 90?
Live. If you don't listen to jazz live, you don't understand jazz. It's like, well, then I guess I don't understand jazz because I'm going to go out and spend $50 to go listen to some jazz band live? No.
Done it a lot. I love jazz. I love it live.
Actually, I love jazz too, and I'm just making a joke.
No,
well, he literally only has to throw a stone. He's in the Chicago area, so not everybody's as lucky on that.
And I do love Citizen Kane as well, but I do think that it actually suffers.
90.
It suffers from that greatest film ever made syndrome, where I think it's like the more you want to raise a film up, the more you just get annoyed and say, you know what?
Art is subjective anyway, so anyone that says that, it's like, okay, they may believe it, but they also, it's just getting thrown out there as number one.
Yeah, it's no Superman 3 is all I'm saying.
Boy,
save it for the brackets!
But actually, I do want to. Speaking of. Well, this is the thing. I really want to talk about William Atherton in this.
Okay. The TV reporter.
The TV reporter. Do you know what other role William Atherton is very well known for?
It's
no, because I'm not 90. But enlighten me.
Okay. That is Walter Peck from the original Ghostbusters. Which
it's
does
true.
The one with the monkey?
No dick.
What? Yes. And this is the amazing thing about
That's the line that he is said to him.
Yes, I know the line. I've seen Ghostbusters 800 times.
No, I'm not talking about the one with Melissa McCarthy. I'm talking about the original one with Bill Murray.
Yes, I know. Don't you?
So not the one with the monkey.
I may be older than you, Rob. I have no idea how old you are.
Lilith, here's what I'm doing. I'm lighting a match on the kerosene that is Charlie.
No, but here's
and then I'm going to bolt.
Exactly, I see you. You're like, well.
Here's the thing about his character's arc in this thing, and this is the thing. Like, to me, he has the most interesting arc, and that's the thing. Like, anyone who wants to talk about Rickman's a great actor, but his character, it's the same character at the start as he is at the end. He's an overconfident.
No, because he's breathing in the beginning.
No, he basically, and this is what I always say. Hans Gruber is just Leopold and Loeb, or what's his name from Crime and Punishment. It's just this idea that I'm smarter than everyone else. I can do whatever I want because I'm just the smartest man alive. And of course, the minute you say that, you say, you're probably not as smart as you think, and that is just history. I mean, like, that's not even it's not even fiction. It's just like most serial killers think they're very, very smart. And we know that because when they're in jail, we ask them, how smart are you? And say, I'm very smart. Thank you very much.
Wait a minute. So he's the main villain in an 80s action movie. How much character growth do you want him to have?
Well, no. Well, I would love it if he could. Well, that's the thing. I don't expect him to have much. But that's the thing. It's like, we love Alan Rickman. We love Alan Rickman's performance. So it sort of gives a middling character a raising of his status expressly because it is a really amazing actor saying these lines.
Yeah, but I think he had a depth to the character. He wasn't just like
big time.
A one-tone villain,
No, I think he is. I think he's a guy. He wants money. He thinks he's smarter than everyone else.
Holly comes in and she's like, "We've got a pregnant lady out there. Let's get a couch for her." I mean, he
That's not that impressive. I'm sorry.
No, Phil would be the first one to have Stockholm Syndrome. Okay.
No, but I'm just saying. He could have been like, no, I don't care. Go piss on the floor. I don't care. But,
Well, yeah, but obviously, but first off, since he thinks it's sort of like what they say about Dr. Doom. It's not that Dr. Doom.
College dropout.
No, exactly. But it's not that Dr. Doom is noble.
He said.
It's that Dr. Doom
See, I am noble.
wants to be perceived as noble. And he knows that these are things that noble people do.
So says Master Doom.
Yes. But that's the thing. So, but here's my actual thing. Thornburg's arc is one where when we first meet him, he seems like kind of this, out of the box creative reporter trying to get to the truth. And then as the arc progresses, he becomes Walter Peck. He becomes this venial idiot who hurts people just to advance himself.
So he plays the character he plays in every single movie. Because that is what his character is.
True. But you didn't know that at first, which is something I really
You didn't know it, but he didn't change. We just didn't know it.
Well, but
and Rickman didn't change either. Okay?
Fair enough.
Hans the Professor Gruber did not change, but he thought he was the smartest in the room. Yes, you are right. See how I got that little dig in there? I thought that was good.
Up until the very end when he gets thrown out a window, yes.
Yes, right. Spoilers, Charlie.
I've
been watching it as we're recording here. I haven't seen this part yet.
Lilith, Ultimate Spider-Cast joke. Bruce Willis didn't defeat Hans Gruber. Gravity defeated Hans Gruber.
I think the bullet helped.
Jerry Conway? What now?
But no, I'm just saying that as a character arc, that he withholds a certain aspect of his venality until it becomes necessary for him to reveal it. Makes it a very interesting arc for a character. And this is just, like, from a writing perspective, that makes for, like, if as an actor and you're looking for what is an interesting character to play, it's like, oh, okay, I see how he always was that petty venial guy. But I
always look for the one that paid.
Well, wow, ooh, Mr. Fancy Man gets paid to act.
No,
okay.
Not really.
I see where we're at.
Oh, my hand's cramping from these penny checks.
You got a sandwich and a peanut.
Mr. Fancy Man gets paid in checks.
I just want to say, as somebody who read the book, I think it was the right tone to not make it as nihilistic and cynical as that original book, book was. Although I'd love to see like actual like Die Hard remake more closely tied to the book and see what people would think. I think for 2021,
starring Steven Weber and directed by Stephen King, that would be.
Well,
just give it to Michael Bay. It's fine. He's been kind of booted out of Hollywood. He needs a comeback project. I love explosions and lens flares, as long as it's not J.J. Abrams.
That's what we need is Michael Bay coming back.
The character in the book isn't even John McClane.
Yeah.
No.
So that it's like it's a different relationship. It's not him and his wife. I think it's him and his daughter.
Yeah. A drug addicted daughter, it's a read.
It's like 3,000 versus Pretty Woman, and that's that's a thing, and
the Michael Bay remix is going to have Megan Fox playing John McClane.
She'll never work with that man as long as she lives again.
Right now, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah,
she'll never work with that man again, and I don't blame her.
Yeah, well,
honestly,
she should have been the lead. She was the mechanic. Just don't get me started. Don't get me started.
Yeah. Well,
they should have hired a writer. It was a big budget movie. Don't get me started.
Yeah.
Based on toys. Okay.
Yes.
They can't all be Beast Wars.
Writers are expensive, Rob. It's much better to just have actors show up on set and say, here's a scene, do something. Give me a word and a place.
It's a thing. Improv is a thing, but just not action movies. I don't think you should improv action movies.
If this was a Christopher Guest
show. This movie shows you can play fast and loose, and people will receive it well. So,
now I do want to see Christopher Guest's Transformers.
Who wouldn't want to see that? Oh my God,
that would be amazing.
Autobots, roll out.
Okay.
Eugene Levy as Optimus Prime.
Oh,
God. He could pull off that role.
Okay, I don't know.
A river runs through it.
I don't know what the budget was on this movie, but whatever they paid.
$35 million, I think.
Well, whatever they paid for that poster, he kept running past to the naked woman. They got their money's worth out of that poster.
Oh yeah. Well, you know what? You need your R rating. There's only so many ways you can get it. They already had one poor woman.
They could have gave us an orgasm, but it's the 80s.
Okay. Yeah. You don't want to turn people off.
Not a woman, so
Look, nobody likes orgasms if they're not your own.
are you, Ben Shapiro?
If they're not your own. People like their own orgasms. People don't usually like to watch other people orgasm, you know, if they're making the face. No, I guess a theatrical orgasm is fine if it's a female.
So, Nick, anyway, on the Oscars.
Poor thing. And they never saw him again.
I actually, speaking of the Oscars, I might actually have nominated this for Best Screenplay because I think the dialogue is really, really good. Because I think you have people like Jeb Stewart and Stephen DeSouza who are writing this, and these are the same chaps who are behind films like The Fugitive, which is one of my all-time favorite movies.
Me too. Now that's an action movie.
Exactly. Thank you. But
Tommy Lee Jones or
oh, come on, he's great in that one.
No. I just want to make sure because there's another version of The Fugitive, right? So I just want to make sure.
Well, there's a TV show.
Rob likes the original. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, because it is a film based on a 60s TV show.
And then the second one is Robert Downey Jr., which in headcanon is the prequel to Iron Man.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but I mean, going out on a limb. I mean, I was even just kind of looking at what was nominated this year. You know, just for the heck of it. I probably would have, might have given this the nod when it came to writing, to Best Screenplay, because I think it is a very well written film. I mean, for what it is, for the action film it is, I think it's actually a very well written movie.
What other movies were nominated that year?
I mean, granted, that year, if memory serves, Rain Man won for Best Picture that year.
Gee, how did it beat this? That's a joke.
I wonder.
Honestly, it's a film that this has aged much better than Rain Man, I will say.
Yeah.
But yeah, that year we up for nominations we had The Accidental Tourist, Dangerous Liaisons, Mississippi Burning, and Working Girl.
Okay, I like most of those quite a bit.
Honestly, I'm surprised. Dangerous Liaisons is just an amazing film.
It is
one of my favorites. So.
Accidental Tourist is a hell of a movie too.
Fabulous film.
It really is.
I've actually never seen that one. I've seen ads for it.
John Malkovich. Oh man, I can't look at him the same after that movie.
Yeah.
Well, right. Plus, the whole time you know that. Oh man, I can't think of anybody's names tonight. No, who's the one from being John Malkovich? John Cusack. John Cusack's in his head the whole time.
John Cusack, yeah.
Wow, I think I need coffee. You know me. This is
it's like 8:45 your time.
Ooh. Yeah. As you pointed out, so much right. I'm old, Lilith, as you pointed out. Go back and look at my history.
It's okay. We all get there for lucky.
I still can't fall asleep.
Oh, please.
I think it's a great action 80s film, especially the late 80s. It was such a bombardment of just garbage.
I like that.
This is why it stands out. So this was like the 10th grossing film of the year. It was the highest grossing action film. So I think that speaks in and of it for itself when there's just a bombardment of it at the late 80s. Everybody's just doing that cash grab of what's popular, what can we rip off, what can we parody, where's Leslie Nielsen when we need him, that whole thing.
Yeah. Well, the other reason this one connected, if you think about those movies at that time, you're going to movies at that time. It was a big date thing, right? So an action movie comes out. Typically, it was the guy saying, "Oh, we got to go see the action movie." And a lot of these action
Bruce
movies
Willis, moonlighting.
But a lot of these
You're
movies
getting laid, buddy.
A lot of these movies were as they went on, they were trying to up the ante, so they became bloodier, more violent, more boobs. And that's what they were trying. That's how they were answering the call for more action. And this one comes out and it's like, date movie. That stuff's not here. I mean, it is, but it's not. So it became like this friendly date action movie. And that made it much bigger. It's kind of like how Scream hit. Scream hit well because it broke that cycle. It's something that if you analyze films at this time and you see the trajectory they were on, it was turning people away other than alpha males in droves. It was either alpha males or cinephiles. And that was it. People were getting less and less interested. Then a movie comes out like this that is a popcorn fun movie that doesn't have robots in it and that isn't, slasher. It makes sense that it worked. It made sense. And it had Bruce Willis, who was kind of a heartthrob at that time.
It had a core emotional story about a relationship that was
a train
going through a difficult period. Yeah, well, definitely a train wreck.
What a terrible. you
that
see
is
her in the
trying to
beginning,
find
she's
it.
flirting with that guy in the hallway. I'm like, what are we watching here?
Yeah.
And then she gets on the phone to the kid and is like, maybe Daddy's coming home. I'm like, or I'm going to bring this guy from the office home. Hey, kids.
Yeah.
You know your
First
franchise has
okay.
been around too
First
long
off-
when one of the sequels has the child.
Right.
Okay,
Yes.
let me just say,
Die Hard with a
in
walker.
no way had any interest in Cokehead Guy. And I love Cokehead Guy, as I've said earlier in this episode, because it's the same
Yeah.
guy. You
One of
know?
the few times
She
that
didn't cheer.
Hoffner remembered how to act, I will agree.
Oh,
Yes.
Because in Supergirl,
Was
Hart
it
Hoffner
acting?
is awful.
Oh, is that the same actor?
Yep, he's the guy who plays Supergirl's love interest in
Oh,
that movie.
God,
Granted, that
that's
movie is
sad.
an entire train wreck, and you have
The Supergirl
Peter
movie. I
O'Toole,
thought you were
love
talking
it.
about the Supergirl's TV
yeah, where you have
series.
Peter O'Toole and Faye Dunaway, who are like, why the hell are you there? Did you really just need the paycheck? I guess they did.
Yes,
but
they did. Have you met Peter O'Toole?
Nick just cut me so deep mentioning the Supergirl movie. He doesn't even know. Like, I'm out here bleeding right now.
Yeah, Lilith, I do apologize, but I mean, because I worship at the altars of Peter O'Toole and Faye Dunaway. You do that kind of stuff, and I say to myself, why? But
Money.
But I actually did have to exactly what one needed to go to the pub because they didn't have enough money to go to the pub probably, and the other I don't know. But what I did want to actually ask you guys, if I have to speak, because you guys were talking about explosions and what have you. Visual effects. This was actually nominated for Best Visual Effects. It lost to Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh, tough break. Any other year.
I mean, honestly, anyone would.
The
Anyone
actual game changer with that one.
The nominees were Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Die Hard, and Willow. And it lost to Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
It would have been terrible if it lost to Willow.
Yeah, well, that would have been just weird because
I didn't believe that guy was short for a minute.
Have you seen the trailer for the new Willow reboot with?
No, I've just seen the pictures. I'm in.
Yeah, Hey, Warwick can show up anywhere, and I am.
Warwick
he
Davis
is a modern day Billy Barty, and I will watch whatever he does.
Well, here's the surprise for you, Charlie. He's standing behind you. He could show up anywhere. No, not there. You got to look down.
whoa.
Yes, but I can't look down and behind me because my neck doesn't go that way. But moving right along, that kind of freak.
Okay, Nick. Since my time is short, I want to know something.
Yes, sir.
Name your favorite Peter O'Toole movie?
Lawrence of Arabia, hands down.
Okay, take that one out of the mix because everybody loves that one.
Okay, I'm going to say Beckett.
Oh, good one. Ooh. All right.
Suck it, Rob. Tried to stump him.
I mean,
No, I wanted to see what he'd say
there
because
you have-
I actually have one that is most people never bring up. My favorite year. I think he was amazing in that film.
Agreed.
Oh, that was
He
just
great.
hands
I
down.
mean, he's playing a drunk, but he played it like no one ever has.
But I think right after Lawrence of Arabia, it's Beckett. Plus, you have the two Booze brothers themselves, Richard Burton and Peter O'Toole.
Yeah.
It doesn't get any better than that.
No, it's absolutely amazing. You're right. Yeah, no, I wasn't trying to stump you. I wanted to see what you'd say.
Oh, no.
Have you
worries.
seen him in Casanova?
Ooh, I wish we were talking about Lawrence of Arabia, though. Ooh, what a movie.
We're not classy like that. I'm sorry, Rob.
Sorry. All right, back to Reanimator.
I mean, Austin Powers. I mean, come on.
Apologies.
Yeah, but I'm on every one of those. Come on. I probably have the Blu-ray sitting right next to me.
But for what it's worth, no, Peter O'Toole is a great actor. My favorite year is actually one of my favorite films.
There you go.
It's a great movie.
It's
It
a
is
great movie.
Agreed.
But nobody
he is
ever knows
playing
that one when I bring it up. I'm glad you guys know it.
Yeah,
It's
well,
true.
Once again, old man cinema.
yeah. I mean, he's playing the Errol Flynn part. You know,
Right.
Exactly.
He's Errol Flynn as it's Peter O'Toole playing Errol Flynn as some fictional actor. So it's
he's
beautiful and
amazing.
intelligent and brilliant. And honestly, my own personal feeling is that like Errol Flynn was a really unique action actor.
Agreed. Though we don't like to talk about Errol Flynn too much these days, but that's another
Well,
story.
I don't know. I don't.
Our greatest enemy of all.
He liked the ladies. Some of them were a little younger. Maybe. I don't know. Every so often they make these statements in Hollywood, and it's like, well, But was that really the whole story? I don't know, because I wasn't there. And honestly, he's dead now, so what do I care?
Okay.
At a certain point, you gotta say they're dead. Let's move on. You know.
Okay, Charlie.
Okay.
Well, on that note, great.
Nick,
Are we hitting grade on this? What are we doing?
Yeah,
Letters, numbers, whatever you want. We convert.
Yeah, let's get Nick. Let's get Nick the classy one first.
Ooh, the classy one.
Yeah, definitely not you, Rob.
I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10.
Solid C. Get you your diploma, my friend.
All right. I'll go next since everyone went quiet. I will go 4 out of 5 Burning Towers. I really like this film. I'm not going to give it 5. It's not elevated like that. For an action movie, I mean, I love it. And I actually like most of the sequels except that last train wreck.
That really killed the franchise.
It's such garbage. It's just take that, you buy the box set, break that disc, throw it away, because it's just awful.
We just needed the money.
But the rest of it, I even liked 4. I thought 4 was a lot of fun. The one with
it was pushing
Justin
it at
Long.
4, though. Not gonna lie.
It was still pretty fun. And I like when Justin Long turned into a walrus in that one. I thought that made that movie.
Is it better than Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skulls, though? Is that the question?
Yeah.
When it comes to four.
That's debatable. It depends on if you do substances or not.
No, and you know what? I actually liked Crystal Skulls. I don't think I mean, compared to the rest of the series, it's hot trash. But as a movie, I'm like, you know what? That was an all right movie. Some of it was cool. The stuff with the ants was cool to watch, but it was pretty much garbage. I like really great cinema, and I like really hot garbage. So
any Indiana Jones film, I always got to think about the Young Indiana Jones series and
we don't talk about that. That makes
Old
me
Man
sad.
Indiana Jones.
We don't do that here.
Yeah, it makes us miss River Phoenix. I think we wish River Phoenix had been young.
I want to go to the timeline where he's still alive. That's all I'm saying. I think it's a
Amen.
timeline.
I wonder if in the new film, if they're going to have him with the patch, if they're going to explain why he had a patch as an old man in the Indiana Jones, Young Indiana Jones
always assumed
series.
it was glaucoma. I just assumed, or cancer from the A-bombs he went through.
Oh,
you know?
could be.
Yeah, there's lots of reasons you lose an eye as an old person.
Maybe he peeked out of the refrigerator.
Yeah. Well, it's just anything, man. It's just, you get a
whip accident
growth on your eye.
I'm thinking whip accident.
Well, that's why he had the scar.
Yep.
Yep.
Charlie, what's your grade?
I give it a solid thumbs up. Here's the thing, because I
can't convert thumbs up.
Wait a minute.
Let me do the math for you. 70, 80, 100%. I enjoyed this film. This was the first time I've actually sat down and really watched it. And as I'm watching it and watching all the characters interacting and their interweaving of their stories, everybody's own individual arcs, how they play back and forth with each other, I really got sucked into it. It was honestly, yes, explosions and shooting and yada, yada, yada. It's all very fun. But what makes it, to me, a great film is these little character moments. For all these characters, from Argyle at the beginning, calling out John McClane for basically saying, yeah, I figured my wife would fail, so why bother moving? To Reginald Van Johnson's character really having to, basically when John McClane's trying to give him trouble for being a desk sergeant, and he actually explains why he wanted a desk job, and then to have him have to face that moment where he again, in that moment, had to make that choice, and then to be able to make that choice. To me, and again, for what that's going to deal with Reginald Van Johnson later, he may have issues with that too. Because it's like, there's all sorts of things to expand from that. But in that moment, it's like, oh, wow, that is such an amazing story and arc for a character that is so much just a secondary character and somewhat meant to be, a classic comic relief. And what I'll say is witty subordinate character. which is the character who, yeah, there's lots of ways you can phrase it. I'm trying to be as nice as I can about it because the character deserves that recognition for how important they are. And how important as a character that witty subordinate, that guy who is supposed to be subordinate to you, but is so much further ahead of you than you could ever hope to be, is such a powerful character to play. And I think Reginald Van Johnson plays it to a T. And that he gets a heroic moment at the end is just chef's kiss.
So, thumbs up, huh? Okay, Lil, what do
Yeah,
you
thumbs up. Well, you guys got mad when I just said thumbs up. So, okay, here's the explanation. Here's how it all
Remind me
breaks down.
never to ask shit. The thumbs up is fine, Charlie. I'm sorry, Phil.
Right in the trap. Whoa, why is it just the thumbs up? Well,
I threw Rob poured the kerosene. I threw the match. Okay, okay. So I'm gonna rate this. Like, if I rate this out of Bruce Willis movies, from like Unbreakable being his best and Last Boy Scout being second best, this is probably like, yeah, I'll go with Rob on a 4 out of 5. It's like it's one of the top 5 Bruce Willis movies for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
all right. I mean, I'll go middle of the road. I'll go 3.5 out of 5. It's it's all right. I mean, it's not Shakespeare, but there's definitely worse movies in the 80s, especially at this time.
I mean, it's right up there in the tier. That's the thing too. Like, I don't know what it wanted to really be. Did it want to be like Beverly Hills Cop? Did it want to be 48 Hours? Did it want to be Tabs? Like, it kind of like
yes,
meanders in that action movie. Like, it just hit so many of the check marks, and like when you try to be all the things, good at all the things, you end up not being good at most of the things. I think is the problem that the movie struggles with.
All right.
It
as an
wanted
action
to be
film.
Die Hard, and it was Die Hard. And that's all I'll say.
24. All right. I know Rob has to go. Rob, you want to do? I know you have plugs, so.
Oh, short and concise. Just follow me at, on Twitter at rsouthgate, on Instagram at Rob Southgate. We have a bunch of things happening. We have a new blog called Short Heads, where we're reviewing short films at film festivals. So you'll find all that stuff at my links. You can also follow us. We still have stuff coming out at SMG Pods on Twitter or at Southgate Media Group, even though Southgate Media Group is, I don't know.
It's an archive.
It's an archive, but it's still a thing. So yeah, follow me, R Southgate on Twitter or Rob Southgate on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook at Southgate Media Group or at any of these other things. Pod Life 2 is coming out soon. Lilith did not contribute, so I am still harping on her because we have not published yet, Lilith. Embarrassment time for you. And let's see
what I get for calling him old.
Let's see. Yeah, you do. Let's see. I mentioned that. And the last thing is I've just started a podcast marketing consulting business. So if you have a podcast and you want to improve your digital marketing, you want to improve your social media game, reach out to me. I gave you the places. I will have this in the show notes, or Phil will. I have no control over your show notes anymore.
I'll put them in.
Yeah, awesome. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I do it for groups. I do it for individuals. I do individual coaching, consulting, whatever you need. And I have a team that also is involved in this. And I'm not revealing the name or anything yet because it's not up and running, but it will be shortly. But you can reach out to me now, and I've got all the pricing and everything in place. It's pretty cool. You can hire me for a 1-hour AMA with your team. I'm telling you, I'll talk your ear off.
Make it rain.
I mean, this is a commercial.
We know,
right here.
Rob.
So there we go. See, I did it. That was the shortest plug I've ever done. Guys, thank you so much for having me on. I'm sorry I have to bail at the last second. I would normally stay and harass Charlie some more. But I actually have to jump on another podcast. I'm going to be on Popcorn Psychology with Martha and Molly. It's 3 therapists that talk about the psychological issues of characters. We're doing Lord of the Rings tonight.
Oh,
and
really?
they invited us on to talk Lord of the Rings. Yeah, hell yeah. So, yeah, I'm not done talking for the night, even though I sound like it. So, hey, Nick, that was a good movie. That was a good movie.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay,
Looking
there we
forward to
go.
discussing Return of the King when we get there. Love you, Rob. Talk
And
to you
Nick,
soon, man.
you have me on when you want me on. I would love
Look
to come
forward
talk
to having
to
you back in the Gold Standard Theatre for sure.
Yes, excellent. All right, thank you guys so much, Phil. Thank you, Lilith, Charlie,
sir.
DJ, Nick. Thanks, guys. Thanks, the
Cheers,
entire
man.
Capes universe. All right, I'm out.
Really? Lord of the Rings? That was...
I think.
I mean, it has moments. It has moments.
I think Martha and Molly are.
Oh, Charlie, don't get me started.
I think Martha and Molly are.
This could go on for
never
another
an
couple of
ending.
hours.
It's the story that never ends. It goes on and on, my friends. And it's like, it's.
Oh, you're not a real nerd. Now I have to take your nerd card.
No, they just lie to him. That's family counseling. That's the only way you get everything. Oh, no, it's a podcast. It's a podcast.
I'm Pickle Rick!
Oh, man.
I should have warned him.
Here's what I'll say. The new Dune has a clear arced ending where you know, okay, I understand how this ends.
Here ends the commercial. Now into the good stuff for part 2.
Lord of the Rings, Fellowship, it's just like, well, okay, I guess we're at the time, so show's over, kids. Go home. We're going to go our separate ways. Okay.
All right.
Tell us about all your podcasts.
I was gonna say, all right.
I know you do a few.
All right, I was going to say, before we roll into ours, Nick, where can people find you? I know you do quite a few podcasts.
Okay, so when it comes to me, folks, if country music is your speed, I do host the Whiskey and Cigarettes radio show where we play today's country, traditional country, and everything else in between. For more info about that and where to tune in, you can visit our website. That's whiskeyandcigarettesshow.com. Podcast-wise, if superhero movies are your speed, I do host Happiness and Darkness, the superhero movie podcast. We discuss all superhero movies under the sun. And definitely last but certainly not least, Gold Standard, the Oscars podcast, where myself, Zan Sprouse and Rachel Friend are going through all the Best Picture winners in chronological order from 1927's Wings to the present day. And also, I have to add, if you want to check out all the crazy things I get up to on Instagram, you can follow me on DJ Nictogram.
Nice. All right. All right, kids. What do you think? Is William Atherton the hero of Die Hard?
No, that was not my point. That was the exact opposite of my point, but okay, thank you.
If you think Charlie was wrong, email us, capesandlunatics@gmail.com, or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And remember to follow Capes and Lunatics on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Find links to all the various social medias for all the many, many shows we do. Links to this YouTube channel. Yes, have you wondered what Rob Southgate looks like? Well, enter at your own risk. You can see on our YouTube channel. Yes.
Svelte and handsome as always.
Well, that's my plugs. I thought she was talking about something else. Anyway, and once again, that man who just left, yes, we're no longer in his employ, so if you would like to help keep us afloat, we're all paying for this out of our own pocket right now. Please, if you can, subscribe to our Patreon. We have comic book creator interviews. We talk to Mr. D.G. Chichester every month. We just talked to Kelly Thompson. Tejas is coming up. And then in 2022, I'm going to have to get Nick on some of these. We're going to be doing some superhero movies, Nick.
Yes, we're going to give the brackets out to some select few people and see what we come up with.
2 a month. We're going to find the worst superhero movie ever, you know.
Ooh, I'm looking forward to that because, yes, right now we are literally scraping the bottom of the barrel when it comes to Happiness and Darkness. This week we're actually going to be reviewing Green Lantern, and right after that...
I'm sorry. We literally didn't make it through when we did it.
I know.
And then it gets even better. We have the first Swamp Thing film.
That was a classic. What are you talking about?
That was coming.
It's not cinema and it's not a popcorn flick, but it's okay. It's like a good TV episode. I'll say that.
It was the 80s, man. That was all we had, okay? We had Lou Ferrigno Hulk and we had Swamp Thing. That was as good as it got, and we were grateful for it. You kids today don't know.
All right, Lil Hellfire, where can people find you?
If you nerds want to hang with me on the interwebs and pick my brain about comics, movies, pop culture, whatever, on Twitter at Lilith Hellfire, on Instagram at Lilith Hellfire69, and of course on TikTok, making the steamiest of comments at Lilith Hellfire69. If it's good enough for Joe Rogan, it's good enough for me. Day 93 of Blue Chew, please sponsor us. Joe Manganiello can get it. Mark your bingo card or take a drink, whichever game you're playing.
Charlie Esser.
I don't know what Blue Chew is, but I will happily chew one if it'll get us an endorsement. And I'll find out what they do.
Think Viagra.
All right now. And I lost my train of thought. Hey, guys, if you'd like to write to me in that old-fashioned email way, where mothers and fathers once did, do so at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com. And, of course, follow me on the Twitters. I live tweet things like Stargirl, which is not on right now, but maybe it'll come back. We're hoping. And, one of these days I might actually, before it ends this season, do Legends of Tomorrow, because I do watch it every week, and I love that show. It's really great. At Charlie Esser, that's CHARLIE. ESSER. Look for the 2 E's in the middle. For what?
quality.
Bing!
Thank you, Maz.
Oh my God, that's the one connection between all of us, Mosby and George.
Oh, he is awesome. The man is magic, honestly.
Oh my.
You've never he really is. He's just a great guy to talk to.
Love that man.
Such a great breadth and depth of knowledge. Yeah, Miles is the best.
I highly recommend to any of you, if you ever get the chance, to sit with Miles in a bar and just talk. It is really...
Is that how you guys met? I feel like that's the cute.
We were actually in an improv troupe. We were actually in a comedy troupe back in the day. The Monk Drunkies with Josh Potter. It was great. And
Hey, for another week we have been your game.
Ampersand.
Lunatics!
And Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.
Yippee-ki-yay, mother lovers!